Welcome, one and all. It is time for Monday Night Nerd. I'm so happy you all could be here. Tonight, we are going to be talking about Anime North 2026. It is in the books, in the pocket, out of sight. And we're going to talk all about my time there. I hope some of you were there. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to get a whole bunch of news coming up. If you're new here to the channel and you have no idea what this is, my name is Myers Corp Cosplay. I'm a cosplayer in the Southern Ontario area, and this is my show, Monday Night Nerd, where we talk about nerdy things. We talk about wrestling, podcasts, cosplay, music, comics, and a whole lot more. And we are LIVE live every single Monday night here on YouTube and here on TikTok. I hope you guys have had a great weekend. The weather did not hold up for Anime North, but that was to be expected. So hopefully you guys did not get too wet and too drenched over the weekend. Like I said, we're going to talk about that, but we got a whole bunch of news to start the show. So folks, we are going to jump into the news.
Live from the multiverse, it's Monday Night News.
Welcome to the news section of Monday Night Nerd. Tonight we've got a whole bunch of fun things to talk about and a couple little things we're going to complain about, but hey, such is life. Let's start things off with a little bit of a complaint. I have a little bit of a gripe with McFarlane Toys right now. If you are not a toy collector, if you do not care about toys or anything like that, this is not something for you. But personally, I am a toy collector when it comes to certain things, especially McFarlane, and I got a bit of a gripe with them. If you don't know anything about McFarlane Toys was started back in the late 90s by Mr. Todd McFarlane, the man who created Image Comics with a bunch of other artists, and he made a toy line. They decided that they were going to make their own toys through McFarlane Toys, and these toys were very different than the ones that you saw traditionally from your makers of Hasbro, etc. What they did was they made them highly detailed, and they became very sought after by the collector scene. There were Kiss toys, there were horror toys, and a whole lot more. And in 2019, McFarlane acquired the license for DC Comics, which made them the only person for the time being to get the right to make DC Comics toys, which was great because that allowed the toy business and the toy quality to go up. McFarlane has always done well, and when they first were announced, all the collectors jumped over it because they knew they were going to get a ton of great products, and they did. Over the past 7 years, they've done so well, and unfortunately, DC has decided they're now going to go with another manufacturer. I believe it's Mattel, as of the end of 2026. However, for the past 7 years, they've put out amazing products, and they're now becoming a lot harder to get your hands on, specific ones. So let me explain what's going on. With McFarlane, they are very good at pushing out major properties. So when there is a DC movie, for example, right now the Supergirl movie is about to come out. If you go to any comic book store, any big box store, if they have McFarlane toys, you will probably find Superman toys or Supergirl toys. You will find Lobo toys. You will find a whole bunch of other things like from that property. And that's great because there are people that want that. The only problem is, though, is that there are other lines that are coming out at the same time. There are, for example, a line of figures coming out that were specifically a Green Lantern figure, and that Green Lantern figure was Larfreeze. And if you don't know who Larfreeze is, that is the Orange Lantern. And I personally have been collecting all of the Green Lantern figures. I love all my Green Lantern figures. I believe I have 12 so far, and I want my Orange Lantern. Funny, because that is the Lantern of Greed. And this has become a bit of a problem because the Supergirl toys are being pushed so much, there aren't many Larfreezes. And the problem with this is that it's becoming extremely expensive to get this one toy. The problem has gotten so big that when they announced it, I got an email from McFarlane Toys. I got an email from EB Games that all of this line of toys was available at EB Games. When I searched them as soon as it came out, it was available in 5 locations across Canada, not just Ontario. And I fought hard to get this toy, and I could not get it. Then I went to my local comic book shop because they said they had one, but it sold like that. And they said the exact same thing. They said, we barely got any of them. And I am so irritated with McFarlane right now. I love McFarlane, but trying to get this toy has become such a hassle because I know I will find it at a fan expo or some convention, and it's going to be double the price because it is becoming so hard to find. But it's just not a big character, and it should not be that way. But for some reason, it's the way it is. So it is becoming very frustrating for myself as a Green Lantern fan trying to find this toy, along with a couple others of the set, because it has just become, they did not produce enough as I think they expected. And just a bit of a gripe. Let's talk about something that I have not seen, and I probably will not see, but I know a lot of people are interested in, and the fan reception has not been what everyone was hoping, and that is the Mando Grogu movie that has just come out this past weekend. It is not doing as well as Disney and the whole Star Wars franchise was hoping it would do. However, it is not a complete flop, and I think that is something to be said. Over the weekend, Box Office Mojo reports that it took in $165 million internationally, and a lot of people would say that is a great number, but that's for the normal person. I want to remind everybody that Force Awakens took in almost $1 billion during its run. Compared to other Star Wars movies, this is probably going to turn a profit because the amount to make the movie was a lot less than a lot of previous Star Wars movies. I believe it was reported that it was going to be about $163 million to make the Grogu and Mando movie. So it is technically making money right now. However, it is still underperforming than what Disney and the Star Wars world would like. Why is this? This is a series that has been going on for a few seasons and is probably the biggest character that the Disney version of Star Wars has created since they purchased the IP. But a lot of fans I've read online are saying that this feels like a 5-episode arc pushed into a 1-movie, 2-hour runtime. And I see the problem with that. I do not understand. I understand kind of why Disney did this, but personally, you know what, I'll say it. I don't understand why. Because you have an IP that people can easily watch from home. They simply have to press a button, sit down on their couch, watch it. They can go to the washroom. They can get their own snacks. They can do whatever they want. Now, Disney is asking people to go somewhere else, spend a lot more money, and have to sit there for that allotted time without being able to pause or anything. I don't understand. I understand their reasoning only in the fact of they want to get more people back into the cinemas so they can make more money later. But when it comes to this franchise of Mando and Grogu, it just does not make sense to me. When they first announced this, I expected this is what the reviews were going to be, and I've not been disappointed by what everyone is saying. I've heard, it's a 5-episode miniseries, basically. It is a lot of side quests running around. I personally will not be seeing this movie. I've not sat down and watched the Mando series. I'm not a TV person historically. If you've ever watched my channel, I'm not a TV watcher. I'm too busy building cosplays. I'm too much of a movie fan, video game fan to sit down and watch hours upon hours upon hours of TV shows. There are a few that I will watch, but not very many. So personally, from what I've seen, I think wasn't the best idea, and I think Disney and Star Wars has realized that. I would not be surprised if we do not get a sequel. I had heard rumors that if this did do well, they would make a second, but I think they're just going to continue on with the next season of Mando and Grogu. Oh well. It was a test, and it failed. Who do we have in chat? We got Pretty Nerdy Crystal in chat. We have The Freakish Workshop. We have Alex, and we have Boomster Joe. What do we got? Well, let me see. What are people saying? They wanted a big payday of a movie shows don't bring. 100% Freakish Workshop. I agree. Now, if it was like Firefly, that's a different story because I did go watch that. Yeah, agreed. I think Firefly is an example that actually worked very well. I was not a Firefly fan, but I did watch a little bit of the movie, and I did not know it was actually connected to a TV series. I thought it was its own thing. Alex said just want to sell more popcorn buckets. Yes, I do believe that is part of their strategy. And the only real other news we're going to talk about tonight is The Boys finale came in last Wednesday? Yeah, I think it was Wednesday it came in. Again, similar to what I said before, I'm not a TV fan, so I have not watched The Boys. I am not personally a fan of The Boys. I did read the comics when I was in high school. I thought it was a good story back then, but over the past few years with things that are happening in the world and etc., I'm personally not wanting to read or watch anything that is just celebrating a villain. I really am just tired of that. I feel like it's too easy to do that. I like to call, in wrestling, it's called cheap heat. It's something that you can easily do. You can easily make someone who just is a jerk to everybody. We've also seen the Evil Superman storyline character overdone so much. The Boys did it. Injustice had it. Brightburn was another version of it. I feel like we're kind of overdone with that. I do know some people who have watched it to a certain point and then just got so tired of Homelander that they just went, I can't deal with this guy anymore, and stopped watching. From what I've heard, it was an okay ending. When I read the comics, I'm pretty sure from what I've read, it is somewhat similar to the ending of the comics. And I was okay with that ending when I first read it. I'm not going to spoil it here because it's a fresh series and the episode hasn't even been out a week. But it's over. We're done with The Boys. I have heard they're going to do other offshoots. I feel like this is our current version of The Walking Dead, where we're just going to get 15 different spinoffs now. We may get a, Homelander prequel. We might get, I heard there's a Mexico series coming. Okay, I just feel like we should be done with it. But as we talked about with the Mando and Grogu, we're just gonna keep milking this cow as much as we can. And I get it from a business standpoint, but as a fan, it does kind of frustrate me. It would frustrate me if I was in that world of wanting to see just enough of it and just getting all these weird spin-offs that no one cares about. Alex said, Blindsight, I am assuming you mean Brightburn. Brightburn is a great movie. It is an absolute gem of a movie. If you've not seen Brightburn, by the way, it is a movie where basically the story is the Superman as a child ends up falling to a local family, similar to what the story of Superman is. However, he turns into a villain, and it is pretty much a horror movie. It is a really cool interpretation of it. Pretty Nerdy Crystal said I stopped watching after season 2. I've heard a couple people made it to season 3, and then that's about it. It sucks that, again, I don't know why people stopped, but I do, like I said, I do know a couple who said that it was Homelander specifically that just got on their nerves. He just became very annoying to watch. But that's the character, so you kind of go, well, he's doing a good enough job that I don't want to watch him. But anyways. And that's kind of the news for today. The only other thing I want to mention is usually here on the show I talk about video games and stuff that I'm currently playing and what my thoughts are. Because I was working on that guy for the past couple weeks, I haven't really been playing a ton. However, as a pre-reward for me finishing that guy, Darius, and knowing that I was going to do the competition, not knowing what the results were going to be, but just knowing that it was done in the books and I was happy with it, I went to EB and just not purposefully to get anything, but I just went to look, and a copy of Yooka-Laylee was there for only $15, so I picked that up. If you don't know, Yooka-Laylee is the somewhat sequel to Banjo-Tooie. It's the same developers, and it's not Rare. It's an independently produced, created title, but it is the same people that worked on Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, and it is a very, very, very similar feel with new characters. So I'm going to be running through that for the next couple days as I relax from Anime North. By the way, it was great seeing you this weekend, said Alex. It was great seeing you too. It has been a little while since I've had a chance to see you because you have been very busy and I have been very busy. But I will see you in a couple weeks as well, because in 2 weeks we have Niagara Falls Comic-Con, and that is going to be a lot of fun. If you are in the Niagara Falls area, I highly recommend you go to Niagara Falls Comic-Con if there are any celebrities you want to meet, because guess what? Every celebrity that I can think of is under that roof this weekend, or that weekend. Dennis Rodman will be there. If you're a wrestling fan, DDP, Big Show, the Dudleys. Who else we have? Police Academy cast is going to be there. Priscilla Presley is going to be there. There's a whole ton of guests. Go on to Niagara Falls Comic Con's website and see who is going to be there. It is going to be a lot of fun next weekend. I will be there volunteering. I will not be in cosplay, and I will be helping out with the autograph area as I usually do every single year. So if you're at the con, swing by, say hi. If I'm not running around with my hair on fire, which is a big possibility because it is going to be loaded that weekend. If you guys are still here, if you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and all those things. And if you are here on TikTok, if you can hit that follow button, it would mean a lot as well. If you have been watching the show for a few weeks and you missed the last couple weeks, you may notice if you look down in the little bottom corner there or there on YouTube, this is not Myers Corp Cosplay YouTube channel. This is its own Monday Night Nerd YouTube channel. So if you are subscribed to Myers Corp Cosplay, that is just going to be my cosplay stuff from now on. If you want to watch the podcast, make sure to subscribe to this new channel, Monday Night Nerd. This is going to be simply the podcast and clips of the podcast because the algorithm did not like me doing a whole bunch of cosplay stuff and then this podcast once a week and it being not podcast related or not cosplay related. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Pretty Nerdy Crystal said, and if my makeup comes in on time, my new cosplay might make appearance while I'm with my son on Sunday. Yes, Pretty Nerdy Crystal, if you're a fan of hers, will be at Niagara Falls as well as a few other cosplayers, but I don't want to say because I really don't know exactly who is going to be there. Okay, let's jump into the sponsor, and then we're going to jump into the main event, and that will be my review of Anime North. Folks, you know who my sponsor is if you've ever watched the show before. My sponsor, as always, is my beautiful, loving, incredible, amazing wife. I would not be doing this if it wasn't for her. I would not have this amazing life without her because, seriously, she has made me a better person. I'm a very different person than before I met her, and I am a much calmer, a much happier person with her in my life. So, hun, you will always be my sponsor. All right, quick drink of water. Folks, I think it's time for the main event. It's time for the main event. All right, folks, we are here for the main event. Let's talk about Anime North. Now, if you are from the Ontario area and you are an anime fan, you know all about Anime North probably. You are probably one who attended. If you are not from the Ontario area or you just are not an anime fan like I'm not, let's talk about Anime North and what it is. Anime North is the largest anime convention in Canada based off attendees. This was the 30th anniversary. It took place this past weekend at the Toronto Congress Centre in Etobicoke, right next to the airport Pearson in Toronto. This convention is something that I don't think a lot of people know the background of. This is a non-for-profit convention. So if you are a fan of going to the big boy conventions like Fan Expo, that is a for-profit convention that is owned by an organization that their whole thing is to make money. This is a non-for-profit convention. All of the profits that come in from this are paid to some employees, and the only employees that get paid are the people who are literally taking time and money away from their job and their life to make sure this con is run properly, and any other money that comes in is going straight to Toronto Sick Kids. So this is totally non-for-profit, and it is completely volunteer run. Everybody that is doing this is there as a volunteer. This weekend we had around 36,000 plus attending. We had, well, it might be a little less because of the rain, but the past couple years we've been around 36,000. And I say we because I attended not just as a cosplayer, but I'm also a member of the volunteer crew. My wife, myself, and a few of her friends, we get together and we are part of the stage crew. If you visit the main stage in the North Building, if you go to any of the other small places where there are panels or anything, that is myself, her, and a bunch of our friends who get together and we run from room to room and make sure that all the audio and the video is going clean and clear at those halls. It is a really fun thing to do, but it also is a really fun and busy a busy weekend, because some of us have to run literally from one place to another and another and another and another throughout the entire day. Step counting gets really high. But it is a lot of fun. If you've never been to Anime North, it is a very different convention that you've probably been to. Most conventions that I've attended in the Southern Ontario area have a building and everything is inside that building. This is different. This convention consists of two buildings. There is the South Building and the North Building. The South Building is primarily where you're going to buy things. There are vendors, there are independent artists, there are industry booths, and then the North Building is the main hall and a gaming area. The North Hall has the big room where all the big events happen. They also have a gaming area with a couple small events there, and outside is a lot of parking lot. And the best part about this is that on a good weekend, you have a ton of people outside just hanging out. There are tons of people that attend this convention that will not buy a ticket, that will not step foot in the convention. They simply hang out outside and they have an absolute blast out there. This con runs from about 10 in the morning most days, and some nights the events run till about 1 in the morning, and there's a rave at night that goes till probably 3 in the morning, if not longer. It is a really fun, really cool event to go to. I've told many different people who are cosplayers and just people who attend conventions, you should go to Anime North once, especially for the cosplay, because the cosplay is such a big part of this convention. Now, how did I get involved? Like I said, my wife and her friends have been doing this for a while, and after my wife went a couple years, she said, you should probably go because you're a cosplayer and this is a really cool cosplay event. I'm not an anime fan, though. I never really watched anime. I watched Pokemon, I watched Sailor Moon because it was the only thing that was on when I came home for lunch when I was a kid, and that's about it. I've never watched Dragon Ball, I've never watched Digimon, I've never watched One Piece or any of those things. So my knowledge of anime is about that small. It is minuscule. And I still think this is one of, if not the most fun conventions to go to every single year, even when I'm working. So we're going to go through, as I do with most times when I do convention reviews, I'm going to kind of go by a day-by-day breakdown of what I did each day so you can kind of get an understanding. And if there was anything extra that I saw or heard, we're going to talk about it. So Friday, I arrived first thing when we could get there. Usually my wife has to work the whole day and we kind of end up getting there a little later. However, because I wanted to sign up for the masquerade, I wanted to make sure I was there a little early so I didn't have to wait in line all day and possibly miss my spot. So we ended up arriving around 4:30. The weather was really nice, and it was probably about the only time it was really nice. We got there about 4:30. We parked. We got into our hotel room, made sure our hotel room everything was situated. Then I ran across and I signed up for my masquerade. And this is something that a lot of other conventions don't do the same way that Anime North does. So, for example, for the big boys, the fan expos, you sign up online and they will send you an email and they will say yay or nay if you're a part of the masquerade. With Anime North, you still do the sign up, but then you have to arrive either the Friday or the Saturday first thing, and then you actually sign up that day, because they've had some issues in the past where people will say, yes, I'm going to be a part of it, and then Traveler or something screws it up and they aren't able to make it. So this is sort of their way to make sure they get as many actual attendees to be a part of the masquerade, instead of having, we have 90 people and then the masquerade starts and it's like, well, we've actually only got 50. So signed up for the masquerade and then went to the dealer's room, and the dealer's room is where all of the the stores and people selling video games and anime stuff and yada, yada, yada. And I like running through there because I have found some pretty good deals. I found some video game deals in the past. I found actually they used to have some really cheap art books before the pandemic hit and prices of everything went up. So I used to get a bunch of cool art books. I've got some in the other room of like Mega Man, Street Fighter, Darksiders, and a whole bunch more. This year, I wasn't really looking for anything. As I said earlier, I'm a big Green Lantern fan of the McFarlane series, so that was kind of my first thing I was running around trying to find if anybody had any of the couple Green Lanterns I don't have. Nobody really had anything. However, if you've watched this channel before and you know the past couple times I've gone to Fan Expo and Toronto Comic Con, there has been a booth that has Chalkline Apparel. And if you don't know what Chalkline Apparel is, they are a company out of the States who does really cool wrestling attire looking clothing. So they make jackets, they make sweaters, they make shorts, they make pants that all look similar to wrestling attire and trunks and stuff that the wrestlers make. I've got a set of Bret Hart shorts, I've got a set of Shawn Michaels shorts, and I said that was it. I could go nuts getting these shorts. I could have hundreds of pairs, but I always said I wanted a Bret pair and I wanted a Shawn pair. I was done. But I decided to look anyway, and when I was looking through, I found a pair of Ethan Page shorts. And if you are not in the wrestling world, Ethan Page is a new person to the WWE roster. He has been in NXT, they're developmental for a while. He has been all over the world in other promotions, but he has now made it to WWE and is making a name for himself. Why is this important? Well, I've known Ethan Page for many, many years. Back in the day when I was about 19, 20, I tried training to be a professional wrestler. I tried it here at my local wrestling school, and I was terrible at it. But I did it for a year, and in the advanced class, there was a kid named Ethan Page, and he was such a nice guy, tried his best for the amount of time that he was with us to help us get better. And I've been a fan of his ever since. I've seen him grow and go to many different companies throughout his career. And to see him in WWE, I'm one of his biggest supporters because, as I said, this guy grew up like a fan like I was, and I'm so happy to see him in the spotlight that he's in now. So as soon as I saw the shorts, I was like, all right, I got 3 pairs now. So I now have a pair of Ethan Page shorts that I will be happily wearing when I go to the gym and when I'm walking around outside. Other than that, I really didn't buy anything while I was there except for this new shirt, which I found for $10 at one of the t-shirt printing places we're just trying to get rid of it. And if you can't see it, it says, "Come on Barbie, let's go party." And I thought this would be a fun shirt to wear because when my wife and I went to see Aqua a few months ago in Hamilton, I tried to get like a like beater style shirt, but the only ones they had were the women's, and it just didn't fit right. And then I got a shirt and I didn't like it, so I never really got an Aqua shirt. And I should have mentioned this in the news, but Aqua announced that they are no longer going to be touring, no longer be making music. So I thought this would be a nice little fitting tribute to wear around for my Aqua fandom, because I've been an Aqua fan since I was a kid. And that's kind of it for the Friday. The only other thing I did that night was I had my first event, which I do every single year, and that is Anime Hell. If you've never been to Anime North, Anime Hell, there is an individual that gathers a whole bunch of old school, funny, weird Japanese commercials, funny animes, then just kind of puts them together in this big compilation. It's kind of like old school YouTube where you just kind of put a whole bunch of stuff together that makes people laugh. I always enjoy it because I'm not an anime fan. I just look at it from a hilarity point of view, and I always have a lot of fun with doing that. So I always make sure to sign up for that event, and it was a lot of fun that night. That, however, took me to midnight. So we are already the first night up until midnight, and I still have to walk all the way from the North Building all the way down back to my hotel across the street. So I don't think I got to bed until about 1 o'clock the next morning. And I will admit, I think I was probably one of the 36,000 that attended over the weekend with my fingers crossed, my toes crossed, that we were going to wake up the next morning and that Saturday was going to be nice, sunny, and dry, kind of like it is outside right now if you're in the Ontario area, and just maybe the storm was going to pass. Saturday morning arrived, and we were very, very wrong. It was rough. It got rough later. It was definitely rough at the beginning. I'm going to take a quick drink of water here, because I really want to talk about this, because this is something I hopped on Reddit earlier, and I'm not a big Reddit user, but someone sent me, actually a couple people sent me the Reddit AMA, or not AMA, the Reddit forum of what people were saying about Anime North and what people were saying about maybe complaints and, things that could change for the next year. And I kind of want to talk about what I read. I want to stress, I don't speak for Anime North. I speak for what I saw, what I witnessed myself, and this is my opinion alone. I saw a lot of people online complaining about the weather. I saw a lot of people complaining that during the weather and the really torrential downpour that they were not given extra leeway, let's say. And I will, I think this is kind of common knowledge, but not really. So, I'll say it, but whatever. Going from the south building to the north building, you have to go outside if you're an attendee. If you get a ticket, you're going outside and then going into the north building. For us, the staff, we have a way to get through without having to go outside. And they do that because there are many times where we have to get things through. We need to get people through the convention quickly. It is also for accessibility. There were a lot of people complaining that we should have opened that up and let other people in. The problem is that area is not properly staffed, is not properly secured, etc. So we can't just have people running through there. And the big thing I want to talk about with the issues is I think people are not really understanding the scope of a situation from the Anime North point of view. During a regular convention, this isn't an Anime North thing, this isn't a Fan Expo thing, this is an event problem. When you plan an event, let's call it a Comic-Con, let's call it anything with the public, tickets, etc., there are going to be problems. Bar none. You're going to have problems. No matter what you do, what you plan, you could plan 10 years for an event. There's going to be problems. You have to, if you're the organizer or if you're the person in charge, you have to, at that time, in real moment, you need to figure out those problems and you need to try your best to solve those problems in real time. When you add a torrential downpour at the same time, no matter what you've planned, even if you've planned perfectly for a weather event like that, your problems quadruple like that. And you now have 4 to 5 times the problems, and you are doing your best to solve those problems. I can tell you, as someone who worked on the stage crew, there were panels that were canceled at the last minute because attendees, panel organizations, etc., could not make it in because of the weather. I can undoubtedly, without proof, say that there was staffing problems because people could not get in. There were definitely I know from what I've read online, there were people who were called in to help with the event because of that issue that couldn't make it in. Panels were moved and tried to make things right, which messed up the schedule because then you change something on the schedule, you then have to somehow get it out to the public quickly, so that could be social media, that could be an email, that could be posting it anywhere around the building. You just, no matter what Anime North could have done and could have prepared for, there's no way that rain event would have been solved that quickly. Like, they did their absolute best to make that run as best it can. And I want to remind everybody that all of the people involved are not paid for this. This is not an income source for them. So there are some people who, it's the amount of effort and work that they put into it is incredible. But again, this is not a wage. This is not a source of income for them. So they can only do so much. They only have so many hours in their lives to plan these things. So I know everyone had problems, or not everyone. I know a lot of people had problems with the weather and how it was handled. I can tell you we did our best when it comes to stage and panels and trying to make sure everything was communicated properly. From what I've heard, Anime North did the exact same. I don't know what else to say. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, and if it does next year, I bet they will be able to work it out a lot better now that they've already been through it. Fair. Personally, I've never seen this type of weather I started in 2018, so almost a decade. I haven't seen this type of weather. There's been rainy years, but this was different. This was a lot different. So when we woke up, it was already starting to rain. We thankfully, because we were staff, we had some reserved spots in the back of the North building, and we were able to drive all the way over there and get to a spot that we could easily get into and not have to deal with the rain. The first day the Saturday we had an event. My wife had an event, and then I had an event right back to back in the little North Hall in the gaming area. We got to they did some anime Name That Tune, and then we had a round of Wheel of Fortune on the big screens. Pretty fun. We've never really worked in that area we never had events in that area. It's only second year they've had that area, but it was fun. Then we just walked around a bit. Like we said, we kept looking outside to see if the rain was going to get any better. It really got worse, if anything. My wife went and we did some shopping. My wife is a big sticker fan and a button fan and trinket fan, so she bought a bunch of stickers and stuff like that to add to her collection. And then we just kind of went back to the hotel and we just kind of rested for a bit because we knew the rest of the night was going to be a big, big, busy night because I was, again, a part of the masquerade, but that does not mean my night was over. After the masquerade, I still had an event to do. Again, I was going to be up till at least 1 o'clock in the morning. So then we got ready and I went to the North building and I got ready in Darius. Now, if you've never been a part of a cosplay competition, I want to give you a little bit of background because I think what I've seen online is a lot of people talking about, how stressed it can be and how, intimidating it can be to be part of a cosplay competition. I'm going to tell you what I experienced in the back of Anime North and why I think any and every cosplayer should at least attempt a competition at least once to see if they like it and give it a shot. So yeah, this was my 12th competition. I've been doing cosplay competitions since I believe 2014. I think was my first one. 2013. Mostly Fan Expo Canada because those are the ones that were the big boys when I first started doing it. But since I've been going to Anime North, I've been doing the Anime North Masquerade as well. Why should you compete? Because it is definitely something different. I feel like if I started out cosplaying now, I would be a little intimidated by what I've seen online about masquerades and cosplay competitions. But I'm going to tell you right now, it is one of the most fun things I do every single year. And it has absolutely nothing to do with what happens for that 1 minute that you are on stage. When you first show up, you sign up for your masquerade and then you go do your rest of your day and then you come back and you basically get ready. They sign you in, you walk into what's known as the green room. And the green room is a big room in the back where you are going to sit with the other cosplayers. You're going to hang out and you're probably there, give or take, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the most. And you get to hang out. You get to fix anything that's going wrong with your cosplay. You get to talk to other cosplayers. Personally, that is something that I say is the most beneficial of doing a masquerade, is being a part of that backstage area and talking to other cosplayers. I have met amazing cosplayers that I still talk to today because I competed in a competition and had that time to sit back there. This is a group of people that you all are kind of in the same thing. I use the similarity of a bunch of guys and gals going to war. And you kind of have that experience together of we all did this thing. And it's the exact same feeling when I'm back there with the other cosplayers. We're all about to go do this really cool thing together. We all are going to have this same experience. It's kind of a cool bonding thing. And it's fun just to talk to people. Go up, say hi to them. How did you build this? How did you do this? I met a couple amazing cosplayers this year. One was from Germany. We talked a whole bunch of what German cosplaying was compared to Canada. She had flown in, and the way they do it over there is pretty different. Our skits are like a minute long. They have 2.5 minutes of some competitions. Some of them are a lot more, deep diving into it. Some are a little more fun, a little more casual. You get back there, you get hanging out with everybody, and then they take your photo. They take your photo in your cosplay just so you have a reference photo and they can look at your stuff later on. Then you go into the pre-judging, and the judging is the stuff that everyone gets worried about. They get worried about what the judges are going to say, what they're going to nitpick and stuff. I've never had a problem with judges because I know that I've made all my stuff, and that's basically all they ask you. I've never understood the scarcity of judging of, well, they're going to nitpick my cosplay. I mean, they're going to ask you questions about it. I've never had I've done 12 of these competitions with all different judges. I don't think I've ever had the same judge at any of these competitions. I've never been nitpicked. Like, it's always been like, how did you build that? How did you build this? How did you build that? What's this? What technique did you use for this? That's all they ask. And if you can answer those questions, you're golden. Like, they usually, if you do a competition nowadays, you should create what's called a build book. And I'm going to be creating a video on my cosplay channel that's going to show how I make my build books and what the layout is. It's basically a document showing photos and references of what the cosplay is, where your reference photos are, and how you made each individual part. There's many different ways you can make them. I make one a certain way. I know other cosplayers make it a different way. They're going to look at that book. They're going to ask you some questions about it. And that's it. It's about a minute, 2 minutes where they're going to ask you how you built your cosplay, and that's about it. And then you go talk to the techs, and the techs are going to make sure that the intro that the MC is going to say is written correctly and he is pronouncing everything correctly. Because you're at this one, it's an anime con. There are a lot of words and names that you don't normally use, so they want to triple check that. They want to triple check that you are going to be safe at the masquerade, that you have proper visibility in your cosplay, that you have proper movement. They give you some safety rundowns of, where the stage layout is, how you're going to get on and off the stage. Really good breakdown of what to be prepared for when you hit the stage. And then they're going to go over, specifically in Anime North, you could bring your own audio. So they want to triple check that the audio sounds right and they've got the right file for when you walk across the stage. And then again, you're just going to hang out. You're going to hang out, talk to some more cosplayers. And the one thing that Anime North does that, I'm sorry to say, the other big cosplay competitions here in Ontario don't do, they feed us. Yeah, we're sitting back there with about a half hour, 45 minutes left. They bring in food, and I don't mean they bring in food like we ordered 15 pizzas. No, they bring in like sandwiches and stuff, like from the convention hall. So it's really nice to be back there and have them treat us like, people. Weird, right? And then, we just kind of hang out and we get ready for the competition. And if you are not following me on my cosplay page, this was the costume that I was wearing. This was my Darius cosplay from League of Legends. I've been working on this thing for about 6 to 8 months, off and on. Obviously, I con crunched a little more than I probably should have. Dude, the pizza sucked, said Alex. They didn't bring us pizza in the back. They brought us sandwiches. I never had any of the pizza. So jealous I was dying at Fan Expo last night, or that night. Might be why I cried. Yeah, maybe. Fan Expo is his own thing. So I dressed up as Darius from League of Legends. This is a character that I've been a fan of since I first started playing League. When I first met my wife, that was the game that she was really into. I said I'd give it a shot, and I saw this character and I was like, this is the one I'm gonna love. And I like him, but I also am not very great at playing him unless I play ARAM, which is not the traditional way to play League of Legends. But he is a fun character. I've always loved the look. So if I've talked online here about my friend Edith, Pixel Mesh Art on Instagram, she wanted to do a League of Legends cosplay, and I said, well, this is my reason to do my own League of Legends cosplay. Hers is dope. She did a Leona cosplay that looks absolutely amazing. So I said, well, this is my time to finally make Darius. So here he is. I made him. It is mostly foam. There is some fabric. There is this giant axe. The first big prop like that I've ever made. It was a lot of fun. And so I built this whole thing, and with the Anime North Masquerade, they can do a performance. And the performance basically, like I said, brings bring your own audio, and you have 1 minute on stage to do a performance. Now, almost all of the competitions that I've done, except for the past couple fan expos, because they took this out. I could go on a rant, which I usually do at the end of fan expo, why they don't do this anymore. You do a 1 minute skit, whatever you feel like. In the past, I've learned over the years that dramatic performances are really hard to do. One of the first ones I ever did was a Luigi one, and it was my apocalyptic Luigi, and I did this audio in the background of me doing a voiceover as Luigi of, the Mushroom Kingdom has been destroyed, I'm the last survivor. As soon as my voice kicked in the Luigi voice, everyone cracked laughing. Everyone just broke out laughing. And it kind of took me a second to be like, oh, this isn't what I expected the audience to do. So ever since then, I've kind of done more humorous, more fun performances on stage. And this time with Darius, he's not a really fun character. He's the general of an army. So it's kind of hard to have fun with that. So the way I did my performance, and my performance, again, I want to point out, will be live on my YouTube channel, Myers Corp Cosplay, within the next couple days. I literally got it sent to my inbox just before we went live, and it is good. I did kind of a dramatic performance. I got as many of the assistants, they're called ninjas behind the scenes at the masquerade, to lay out as dead bodies on the stage, and I was basically walking around my fallen enemies, and I pulled my axe out of one of them, and I kind of just look around and I walk out. Again, I wanted dramatic, and it just didn't work. So I talked to the lead of the ninja helpers of the masquerade. Her name is Holly. I've known her since the first time I did a competition. And I asked her, do you mind if we do this? And she said, nope, it's no problem. So she asked a certain amount of ninjas to be a part of this. And as she announced it and the ninjas went out and fell, I guess other ninjas saw this and wanted to be a part of it. So as the MC's doing his intro, more ninjas are just kind of diving dead onto the stage, and I'm literally behind the curtain, like psyching myself up, like, all right, I'm Darius, I'm the big guy from Legal, and I'm just cracking up seeing these bodies just come flying from behind a curtain and fall onto the stage. And I just turned to look at the other competitors, and I'm like, I can't do this now because I'm laughing too hard. I just kind of, okay, smack yourself, let's get into this. So I got myself back into it, and as soon as I walk out, my background song was The Sound of Silence from Disturbed, which is a very dramatic song, and I thought, well, this will be like, he's wiped the battlefield of enemies, and now all he does is get to enjoy that sound of silence as he is the only one left. And as soon as the song kicks in, everyone starts laughing. And I'm like, oh, well, that's whatever. We're just going to roll with it. And I still acted dramatic about it. But yeah, I've kind of learned my lesson now after two big performances of like, okay, drama's kind of done. The year before, if you don't know, I did Gambit and I just danced to Uptown Funk. And I said going forward that would kind of be my specialty, because the way I sort of framed that performance was, if Gambit had a theme song, what would it be? And I thought it'd be Uptown Funk. And I said going forward, that was just the way it's going to be. I'm just going to do that from now on. No matter what I make, the theme of the performance will be, if this person had a theme song, what would it be? Because that seemed to work. This worked too, but it just didn't work the way I wanted to. It was still fun though. And then, yeah, I walked off stage, I went back down, and I went and stood by the little audio video area where all our friends are. My wife was there. She gave me a big hug. And I watched the last couple performances. Usually they have around 76, 78 performances. We only had 53, 54, 55 that night. And obviously the rain kept everyone out. So I expected it to be low, and it sucks because I know there's a bunch of cosplayers out there that probably would love to have been a part of it, but you just did not want to get your cosplay wet. Like I said, we parked right behind the back door because we had reserved parking for staff. I'm not joking. I ran from the door to my car, lifted up the trunk, and I had everything ready. I knew what was probably going to happen, so I had everything set. I lifted the back door, grabbed one tote, ran inside, ran back out, did 3 trips. I was drenched by that point. I was walking towards the door knowing I had to go out and get the costume. The wind is just whipping the rain at me. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting soaked no matter what. But yeah, it was a great time. It was a great performance. I love going on stage, especially in Anime North, but honestly at any convention. I love making an ass out of myself on stage. And then that finished, and then I kind of took half the cosplay off. Well, I took all the cosplay off because it was soaking wet, and I was done with it. And then we had our last thing of the night, which ran from 11 to 1 a.m., and that was the 404s. And if you don't know what the 404s are, they are an improv group in Toronto. They're hilarious. They do an 18-plus show every Saturday night of Anime North. It is a lot of fun. They do stuff that they do not want to show online, and it is so funny to see them. I don't know what they are cool with people talking about online and what they're not cool with talking about online, but so I'm not going to say, but it was hilarious, and they did a great job, and I love watching them every single year. And then we came to Sunday after all the rain had come through. We still had a little bit of a misty rain, but that was a little more tolerable than the absolute downpour that happened on the Saturday. And woke up. My wife and I really didn't have anything till later in the day. I was part of the tech crew for the Cosplay Awards. My wife had an event at another little hall. So we just kind of went shopping one last time through the dealer's room and the artist alley. The artist alley at Anime North has a ton of amazing artists with a ton of amazing stuff. Like I said, if you're not an anime fan, you will still find things at Anime North that you will enjoy, things that you want to buy. There's a lot of video game stuff. I even saw some wrestling stuff. So don't feel like if you're not an anime fan that this is not the con for you. You will have a blast. So yeah, we went walking. I picked up the shirt. That's kind of it. I didn't really buy a lot. My wife, like I said, picked up a whole bunch of stuff. And then we went to the Cosplay Award ceremony, and we had a whole bunch of amazing awards. If you've never been to the Cosplay Award ceremony, Anime North does an incredible thing, and I think it's one of the best things you could do for a convention of that size, and I wish other conventions did it too. What they do, I knew this was their way of doing it because the first time I went, I won an award, and I kind of saw the writing on the wall, but it's good writing. They give out a lot of novice awards. Like, I want to say, I think they probably gave out 12 to 13 novice awards, and they're not novice awards like everyone did best cosplay. They do little awards, honorable mention awards of like, best dance or best use of, I don't know. Mine, when I won for Luigi for my Luigi's Mansion version of Luigi, my award was hauntingly fun performance. And I was like, I know that's a BS award, but I appreciate the effort and I appreciate the award. So they do a lot of novice awards, which is really good because if you give a novice an award, even if in the long scheme of things it doesn't really mean a ton, it still gives them the possible confidence to keep going with this. There are a lot of cosplayers who need that little bit of reward for all of their efforts that otherwise they'll just kind of go, well, cosplay's maybe not my thing because I didn't win. I really like that they give a ton of novice awards, and I think that really gives them a boost to keep going in the cosplay world. So we did all the novice awards, we did a bunch of journeyman awards, and then we reached my category, which is artisan. I am in the third of 4 levels of the cosplay competition. There's novice, journeyman, artisan, which is myself, and master. And I waited with bated breath, and I can say happily, I won, and they're upside down because I'm a professional, 2 awards this weekend for my Darius cosplay. I won a stage award, an honorable mention, atmosphere, and Anks for the performance, and I won an honorable mention foam work for my Darius cosplay. And I was not expecting to win an award. I can tell you right now, and this is not me being, I don't like my stuff. There was literally a moment, probably beginning of the month, maybe a weekend of the month, where I looked at that costume and I just went, I don't know if I'm going to get it done. I don't know if it's going to be good enough to compete. And there was a moment where I wanted to stop. And I was like, do I push and keep going and maybe make it done? Or do I just take a breath and go next year? I kept going, and I'm glad I did because I got 2 awards out of that. It's still amazing. This is my 6th and 7th award that I've won for cosplay competitions, and it still isn't old. It's still a shock when you hear your name being called. It's still incredible to be standing on stage with so many amazing cosplayers and seeing the level of competition, the level of detail on some of these cosplays is absolutely insane. And I know there were probably some rookie cosplayers who look at my stuff and they're like, I'll never get there. I'm telling you, the feeling feels the exact same when you're in my spot because I see some master cosplayers and I'm like, oh, I'm never getting to that part. But if you keep working at it, you never know where you might be. So yeah, I sat through the cosplay awards. We had a lot of fun talking to some cosplayers after about, holy crap, I can't believe we won. And then the fun kicked in. I started to feel ill. I really started to feel ill. I went over, my wife had an event to go to. I went over to the dealer's room, and when I got to the dealer's room, I started to feel instantly sick. Like, instantly sick. My body temperature skyrocketed, and I just felt so sick. I ended up going back to the North Building, and we do have a little section in the back that we can kind of hang out in. I was laying there. I maybe closed my eyes for maybe 15 minutes, and by the time I woke up, I was soaking wet in sweat, which usually with me means something's wrong. I'm not feeling well. Couple trips to the washroom and drinking a whole ton of water, and I just could not make myself feel better. So thank you to our friend Seb for staying and taking my last shift. I did have one more thing that I was going to do that night, and my wife was actually going to do closing ceremonies, but they allowed us to take off a little early to get home, and I got some food, and I probably slept on the couch for another hour when I got home, and I just did not feel good. I'm fine now. I'm absolutely fine now. I've been good all day, but I just think with the mugginess, the cold, the heat, all of it mixed together in kind of the past 2 days just got to me, and my body does not do well in heat, and I think all of that just kind of kicked my butt at the last minute. So unfortunately, I didn't get to stay as long as I would have liked, but I did get to do the masquerade. I did get to do the cosplay awards and see as many amazing cosplayers as I could. I should also say Sunday I did wear my Dan cosplay at the beginning of Anime North. It's always fun to wear Dan. It's probably one of the most comfortable. Just wearing a pink gi with some sandals. It was nice, just not having to wear 10 tons of armor like that thing. I wish I got to wear that more. I know they had a League of Legends photo shoot set up. I don't know where it got moved to, if it happened at all. So hopefully it did. I'd love to see some pictures of it. I wanted to be a part of it, but I did not want to take a chance of something going wrong with that thing. It's already banged up a little bit from storing it, so I'm going to do a little bit of edits to it and fixes to it. I'm hoping Actually, I'm not hoping. I can almost guarantee that he will be making an appearance at Fan Expo this year. I did sign up today to be a part of their cosplay competition because technically I did not win. The Honorable Mentions Awards is not technically an award. It's kind of like a thank you award. So I can compete with Darius again. So I am going to bring it to Fan Expo. And if they let me compete with it, then I will. And if they don't, then I'm still going to bring it, and we're going to have a lot of fun walking around in that. But overall, Anime North was a lot of fun. Like I said, I know the Saturday really put a damper on a lot of people and really kind of maybe ended the con on a sour note for some people, and that sucks. Hopefully, again, next year we don't get this kind of weather. Hopefully it's a little drier so we can get out there. Saturday's usually a giant cosplay day, and I just don't think it obviously wasn't able to get that way because we just couldn't. So hopefully it'll be better next year. Overall, I would give Anime North a 7, 8 out of 10. I still always have a lot of fun there. It's good to see some people there that I don't normally get to see at any other conventions. And I hope you guys do come if you're a cosplayer in the Southern Ontario area. If you've never been to Anime North, but you're just a cosplayer, I think you should go at least once. I know some people have gone and they're just like, yeah, it's way too anime heavy. It's not for me. Personally, I just love the cosplay. And I know the skill level there is 100 times more than some other cosplay competitions in the area. So I always recommend it. I always have a good time. Hopefully I get to see you guys there. That's kind of it for tonight's show. Next week, we're going to be back with a new episode. I've got a couple ideas of what it's going to be. Not 100% yet. The week after, we're going to do Niagara Falls Comic-Con review because that will be in the packet in the back end at that point. And then, yeah, we're just going forward with the rest of the summer up until Fan Expo Canada. Like I said earlier, if you guys have not subscribed to this channel, the Monday Night Nerd channel, you should, to make sure that you're always a part of the show and that you will see any of the clips that come out of the show if you missed the original live viewing. You can also find me on all of my socials, our Corp Cosplay across the board. Except for TikTok, I do have Corp Cosplay, but I also have Corp Wrestling. You can check out on TikTok where I talk about what happens daily in the WWE, a history of WWE, if you are interested in that type of stuff. I'm also going to be doing a couple videos on there about WWE superstars that I've met over the years. I've made a list of all of the superstars, I think all the superstars I've met, and I'm going to talk about what they were like to actually hang out with, some at conventions and some just meeting them at meet and greets. And there's a bunch of fun stories if you're wrestling fans. So if you're wrestling fans, Corp Wrestling. If you're a cosplay fan, Corp Cosplay on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and a whole lot more. And if you just love the podcast, there's Monday Night Nerd here on YouTube. Folks on TikTok, I hope you've had a great time. Folks on TikTok, I hope you had a great time. YouTube, I hope you had a great time as well. We will be back next week for a brand new episode, and I hope you guys have a great night and a great week. I will talk to you very soon. Thank you all. I love you. I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching Monday Night Nerd. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any new episodes.